Okay, good morning again. This is Dave Nadler with the National Weather Service here in Peachtree City to talk about special weather briefing for the potential for heavy rainfall, flooding, along with severe weather over the next 24 hours for parts of north and central Georgia. All right, here are the main highlights. Again, as we've been talking about over the last couple of days, increasing confidence in a significant rain/flooding event over some portion of north and central Georgia heading into tonight and tomorrow. This kind of ties in with what we saw back on Tuesday night with parts of the area, especially across metro Atlanta, getting anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of rain with that event. But going into tonight, again, the heaviest rain access appears to be setting up south of I-20, but I will show you this here in just a few minutes. Don't let your guard down, especially over Atlanta and even north of Atlanta, because this certainly can shift and change as things evolve through the night into early tomorrow. Right now, in that area of heaviest rain, we're expecting widespread 2 to 5 inches with locally higher amounts possible. Some of the higher res models are pitting like a 6 to 7 inch bullseye across parts of central Georgia. I'll show you that here in just a second. So the concern obviously is the elevated flash flood risk, and the ongoing river and stream flooding that we're still dealing with will only be exacerbated due to the additional heavy rainfall that we get tonight into tomorrow. On top of the heavy rain and flood potential, we are looking at the potential, a lower priority, but there's still a risk for a few strong to severe storms that move in with the initial heavier rain that comes in this evening into the overnight hours across parts of central Georgia. And then again, during the day, like mid to late morning hours tomorrow through the mid-afternoon hours tomorrow as the system kind of clears the area. Okay, right now, latest radar, we got some light precip over the area, but the heavier rain and storms back over Mississippi pushing into parts of west central Alabama at this time. That's what will be moving in later on this afternoon into this evening. You can see the lightning data there on the right is far western Alabama at this time. So over the next few hours, we're not expecting anything of significance. It's going to be maybe later on this evening or later on this afternoon into the evening hours where things will start to deteriorate. I know we've had kind of been tweaking our flood watch, but this is the latest graphic. We've got just about our entire area under a flood watch, with the exception of our far southeastern counties, through tomorrow evening. Basically, the ongoing flooding from rivers and streams that is occurring from the earlier in the week's rainfall, plus the additional rainfall that we're expected tonight into tomorrow, will continue to maintain a higher risk for flooding across much of the area through tomorrow and even beyond that with the rivers and streams. The next slide, I'm only showing this because to show you sort of the variability of some of where the models are showing the heaviest rainfall. And for the most part, they're pegging sort of parts of our west central and southwest portions of our area late tonight or through tonight into tomorrow. What I would take away from this is don't get caught up into exactly especially the numbers and where that heaviest rain is going to be, but based off of what we're seeing, if you're 40 miles on either side of like a Columbus to Butler to Jeffersonville, and this includes like Macon, if you're 40 miles north or south of that imaginary line, be prepared that that's where the heaviest rain is gonna occur. So if you're even on the south side of Atlanta, along I-85, heading on up into DeKalb, Gwinnett County, don't let your guard down just because right now some of the newer models that are coming out are showing, are pegging more towards like LaGrange, Columbus, and then east of there. Because things can certainly shift as the system continues to, move through, send energy through the area. There's a lot of moisture in place. So again, that's one takeaway. The other takeaway is be prepared in that 40-mile north or south, line to shift or alter your response due to the fast changing impacts that could occur through tonight and definitely into early tomorrow. So again, our confidence is increasing where we think the heaviest rain is going to occur, but there could be a slight deviation north or south. And even if it's just 20 or 30 miles, we talk about this with snow, but even this heavy rainfall, potential. That slight shift north or south can mean, can have a big difference on the river forecast. Obviously, if it hits an urban area, there's going to be a higher flood risk in those areas. So basically, don't let your guard down anywhere across the area at this point. So this is our latest forecast for rainfall. We feel pretty good about where it's at right now. There'll be a slight shift north or south with the later afternoon package, but we don't expect too much to change from what you're seeing right here on the left. And on the right, this is from the Weather Prediction Center. This is the excessive rainfall outlook. So in the red areas where there's a moderate risk, or like a 40 to upwards of 70% chance of seeing some flash flooding anywhere within that area as we go through tonight and into tomorrow. So we feel pretty good about kind of where this is at, and you can see that moderate risk area gets on up into along I-20 and the south side of Atlanta. So again, even if you're looking at a model that's showing heavier rainfall, down across Columbus and Macon, don't ignore it or don't put this aside that the heavier rain and the flood impacts could be all the way up into Atlanta through tonight and into tomorrow. So this could change a little bit with the updates this afternoon, but overall, I don't think there's going to be a lot of drastic changes to what you're seeing right here at this point. So I also wanted to show this. Again, this is our on the left side is our forecast rainfall, and on the right is a probabilistic chance of basically throwing together several of our higher resolution short range models and giving you a percentage of seeing more than 3.5 inches of rain over the next 24 hours. And it's really hitting, like I said earlier, it's hitting like the Columbus area, parts east toward Butler, south side of Macon, Warner Robins. That's where the higher res models are agreeing with the heaviest rainfall that we actually have in our forecast, basically through tomorrow morning or through tomorrow afternoon. So if you're in that area, anywhere in like purple, blue, obviously into the reddish, orange, and yellow areas, this is where we think the highest potential to see the most rainfall through tomorrow exist. Again, if you're north of this, if you're just outside of that blue or purple area, I wouldn't let your guard down because that could shift just a little bit, 10, 20 miles to the north, and all of a sudden you got parts, south side of Metro in some of this higher rainfall access. So I just wanted to show you that for confidence and kind of give you an idea, again, to kind of confirm and verify where, we're forecasting the most rainfall at this point tonight into tomorrow. The other side of this, of course, outside of the flash flooding, which is the quick, rapid response to the heavy rainfall, is the river and stream flooding. And we still have a number of rivers and streams that are either in flood right now or expected to go back into flood over the next 24 to 36 hours. So I would point you to this NWS page that has basically whatever you're looking at. It could be the AHAPS, old AHAPS page, but the NWS is going to take over to show you what the current conditions, the latest conditions of rivers and streams and creeks are across your area, and what they're expected to do based on forecast over the next 24 to 36 hours. And I would also say that even after the heaviest rain ends, like late tomorrow night and the Sunday, we're still going to be dealing with probably a prolonged period of flooding across parts of the area, especially in parts of central Georgia where the heaviest rainfall is expected to occur over the next 24 hours or so. One thing I did want to also share with you is why our rainfall amounts are going to be so high with this event. Typically this time of year, this is a graph that's showing you, and we've kind of talked about precipitable water before, but it's basically a measure of how much water is in the atmosphere from the ground up to certain height in the atmosphere. Typically this time of year for like the first week or second week of March, we're right around a half an inch of precipitable water. We're actually forecasted to be at about 1.6 to 1.7 inches of precipitable water in that column, which puts us at above almost like record territory for this time of year to see that high of moisture or water in the atmosphere. So given that, as the system is kicking through, that's what's supporting this heavier than usual rainfall for this time of year. And so given that, that's why the 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 inch rainfall amounts is not out of the question, because we have so much moisture and water to work with in the atmosphere as the system kicks through tonight and tomorrow. So just give you a little bit of context and perspective of why, we could see those 3 to 4 to maybe even 5+ inch rainfall amounts somewhere over the area versus, maybe a typical 1 to 2 inch rainfall that we get, this time of year. So here's a simulation from one of our high-res models from about 5 p.m. this evening through 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Again, the heavier rain, the more organized rain that's currently over Mississippi and parts of west central Alabama is going to start to move in after about 5 o'clock this evening from the west to east, with that heaviest rain projected to be at this time south of I-20. But if you're north of I-20, it's still going to be, you're still going to see some moderate to occasionally heavy rainfall through the evening and into the overnight hours. And then we have a secondary band of precip or storms, showers and storms moving in ahead of the front that's expected to clear the area late tomorrow morning through the afternoon hours tomorrow. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch. And some areas may very well see a very persistent 6 to 12 hour of steady rainfall, even heavy rain at times as we go through the night and into early tomorrow. So again, flash flooding is going to be a big concern because that's where we could see some rapid response of water, especially in flood-prone areas, poor drainage areas, urban areas. And then, of course, the river and stream flooding is going to continue and then even exist beyond when the heavy rain moves out of the area. So just keep all this in mind, and I hope everybody's prepared and doing what you can ahead of this heavy rainfall event that we're anticipating. So on top of that, we do have to watch for the potential to see some localized severe weather. Going into, this is the latest day 1 outlook, which actually is going to be updated shortly. It may actually, SPC was talking about nudging that slight risk a little bit farther east into parts of like Columbus's area and kind of that surrounding vicinity there for later this evening. And basically, I think the threat instability is rather low, but we have a boundary there. There's a lot of wind energy kind of moving in, so damaging wind is going to be the primary threat. But we could see, if something sets up just right, maybe a brief tornado kind of along some sort of pseudo boundary across those areas that are highlighted in the marginal and even the slight risk for tonight. And I mentioned the threat increases basically after 6 p.m. this evening from west to east as the heavier rain showers and the storms start to move into parts of the area in west central and southwest part of our forecast area. So be mindful of that in these areas. And then heading into tomorrow, this was the day 2 outlook, which is more than likely going to be adjusted this afternoon to sort of trim back the marginal and slight risk to the south and east. So what I went ahead and did is I don't have the updated graphic per se from SPC yet, but we were already thinking that in that oval circle or whatever, that's where we think the greater confidence for seeing a few strong to severe storms sometime between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. tomorrow across parts of central Georgia. So I think when the day 2, the updated day 2 outlook comes out from SPC, it's going to line up to a little bit more what you're seeing here, at least within that oval shaped area where we think that there might be a slight risk. And then just to the northwest of there, the marginal risk. So parts of Atlanta, more than likely, you're going to be trimmed out of the slight risk for tomorrow. You'll still be maybe in a marginal risk to see something as the front moves across the area mid to late morning into the early afternoon hours. And again, damaging winds are going to be the primary threat, but we can't rule out a few tornadoes that could develop, especially setup is just right along the boundary, and then there's enough low-level wind shear to sort of interact with the instability that'll be moving in ahead of the front tomorrow. And the instability is going to be better tomorrow versus overnight tonight. And finally, one other thing to monitor, the winds outside of any shower and thunderstorm activity is going to kick up, especially behind the front Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and in the early Sunday. And this is where we're expecting peak wind gusts to get to during that time frame. Given the heavy rainfall that's going to be moving across the area, sort of saturating the grounds even more than what they are right now, the potential to see some down trees or just an increased risk of down trees due to these wind gusts is going to be there. So we just wanted to make sure y'all were aware of that. And then hopefully by Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, the winds will start to calm down just a little bit as the system continues to progress east of the area. So that sort of wraps up the briefing here. We've, again, the biggest concern is going to be the heavy rain and flood issues and risks that will exist, especially over parts of central Georgia as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. And then the severe threat still needs to be monitored in addition to the heavy rain and flooding that we could see as we go through the night tonight, and again through the day tomorrow, through early to mid-afternoon hours before things should get out of here. So we want to make sure that we've addressed this. We've got a flood watch in effect for just about the entire area. We're not expecting to do any more special briefings at this point as things kind of start to ramp up later this afternoon and into the evening hours, but we will definitely send an email update or communicate with everybody, all of our partners in chat as needed. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording